bass thumping deep in my shoes. Let the music cure all the midnight blues. We ride the waves of sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. Sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. Lights flashing in the night so bright, feet moving to the beat in the moonlight. Electric groove got me feeling just right, dancing through the blues till the morning light. City humming with a rhythm so true, heartbeat sinking to the neon hue. Feel the bass thumping deep in my shoes. Let the music cure all the midnight blues. We ride the waves of sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. Sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade.
Make sure you thumbs up that video. Hit the thumbs up, guys. I'll be with you in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Lights flashing in the night so bright, feet moving to the beat in the moonlight. Electric groove got me feeling just right, dancing through the blues till the morning light. City humming with a rhythm so true, heartbeat sinking to the neon hue. Feel the bass thumping deep in my shoes. Let the music cure all the midnight blues. We ride the waves of sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. Sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. Lights flashing in the night so bright, feet moving to the beat in the moonlight. Electric groove got me feeling just right, dancing through the blues till the morning light. City humming with a rhythm so true, heartbeat sinking to the neon hue. Feel the bass thumping deep in my shoes. Let the music cure all the midnight blues. We ride the waves of sound so free, lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry seas, feel the blues fade in the electronic breeze. so free. Lost in the rhythm, just you and me. Electric nights under the starry sea.
All right, guys, what's going on? Blazing Press here, Robert. We are live once again here on YouTube. What's going on, guys? Glad that you're joining us once again. We had a great meeting this morning. If you're not a person of faith, then you might find it interesting even if you're not. But for those that are in the faith, it might be kind of a new perspective on what Christianity really is all about. I think it's something that's very lacking in the church today. This mindset that we want to cultivate here at Blazing Press. It is really the key to all the secrets and the real revelation of the mystery of who God is, really about relationship. It is about how to really open the door to the God Most High, allowing Him into your life, and having regular communion, conversation. That's what God created us to be, is to have a conversation on a regular basis. And that's what we're talking about in the morning. So don't miss those morning broadcasts. They're very good. I actually get a lot out of it myself. And I love to go through the scriptures and talk about, what they mean and what it, how to apply it, the history of, and the background and all the connecting dots that really, it is really prophetic. The whole of Scripture is prophetic. If you really want to talk about prophecy, you're talking about the spirit of prophecy. You're talking about, now we're going to be talking about Apollo here in a minute, in light of some of these ancient prophecies that talk about Apollo. But he was a god. He was a Greek and a Roman god of prophecy as well. He was very big into music. And you could call him the golden boy. The sun was related to him in many ways, the golden sun, the golden dawn, the golden age, I should say. But he was really into music and also archery. He had darts, just like in the book of Revelation, the first horse had a bow. He was an archer. And many had said that was with the crown. You call that crown in the original language couronne. It's that word that everybody on YouTube is not supposed to really talk about, or they're going to put like a disclaimer on your video. It sounds like a crown, but it has my Sharona at the end. A Rona. Down, da, 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 da. So it's a crown. They called it crown ona, right? But it's said in a different way, kind of like the V9 teen. So this is what Apollo is, and he's also a god of disease and cures of disease and plagues, by the way. So he oversees humanity's disease problems and plagues. He's kind of a god that, can cause mischief and evil, but he also is looked upon as one that aids and helps humanity. But he has, he's the archer. He's also the person that really loves music. And if you know anybody like that that's really into music, you got to kind of wonder, because, they liken Apollo to the devil. The Apollyon in the book of Revelation comes out of the pit, kind of out of the abyss. He's raised from the dead. He kind of takes on almost a Jesus kind of metaphoric rise from the ashes, almost like a phoenix, this Apollyon. And you could say Apollo, a reincarnation of Apollo. But we're going to talk about, I'm going to get into the news right now really quickly. We're going to go through the news, and then I'm going to talk about this occult background for the year 2025, how these ancient prophecies and occult prophecies as well talk about the culmination of the new dawning of the new age in 2025, and how that America had a destiny to fulfill this period of time, and the reason why it was created, the actual country itself was founded on these Masonic and occultic principles. You could just look at the whole layout and all the architecture and all the gods that are, invoked even in the Capitol building on the fresco up there in the top. Kind of like Trump's penthouse in his Trump Tower as well. He's got a fresco up there with all the gods. Apollo's up there too, and then the Greek gods are all throughout his house as well. But it's all about the goal. It's all about the golden dawn or the golden age. This new golden age that's prophesied and predicted to dawn here in 2025, going all the way back to the Essene prophecies, before the time of Jesus even. So we're going to be looking at some of that as well. And but right now, let's go through some of the news. I just wanted to say hello to everybody here, and God bless all of you out there. Cindy, Red Silk, make sure you share this. This is very important information. People need to really wake up and smell the coffee here. Let everybody know what's going on. They need to see. They need to have their eyes open. La Senora, hello. Arnold Schmidt, what's going on? Cindy, Red Silk, Ralph, Tenderloin, what's happening? MMA Paradise, Billy Teague. Who else is in the house? Let's see it. Let's see a pipe up of all those that are watching. Just type in the chat, hey, what's up? I'm watching. Make sure you thumbs up that video and share it. All right, let's get into the news. So we're looking at some of the current events here really quickly. We'll run through before I get into this information that I think is very important. We're going to go through some of this breaking news here just really quickly. New York Times reports that Donald J. Trump is set to name Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Really? Marco Rubio? Little Rubio. Remember he called him Little Rubio. Got little hands. Oh, no, actually, he said that Donald had little hands. The Donald didn't like that. But I guess he forgave him. So I guess he's going to make him his senator. I'm sure I'm sure Rubio made complete obeisance and true repentance for those comments in 2016. Let's just say national emergency to be declared. Supplies have been staged for an emergency situation in Michigan. This is according to the Gateway Pundit and others that have been talking about this. It says 350 semi-trucks or semi-trailers. Let's take a look at this article. Really quickly look at this article. Like I said, this is coming from the Gateway Pundit. It says concerns mount as FEMA selects Oscoda Airport for massive emergency hub. 350 semi-trailers with equipment set to serve 6 Michigan counties in preparation for an emergency or emergency situations. I wonder if this is when the fist hits the map. I don't know. But, that dream I had the other day was very interesting. And I have to wonder what it actually is pointing to. But maybe it's this. Maybe it's this. What is going on here? This township, Oscoda, I guess that's the way you would say it, township, a small Michigan community, has been selected by the Federal Emergency Management Agency as a key emergency staging area for northern Michigan, with plans to house 350 semi-trailers of emergency equipment at the local airport. The FEMA emergency hub, established to serve 6 counties in the event of an emergency, has stirred a mix of interest and concern among Americans. This announcement was made during a recent Oscoda Township board meeting on October 28th, where the supervisor, Bill Palmer, confirmed the news of FEMA's selection of the airport for this controversial initiative. So it says it was chosen, and a lot of people are wondering what's going on, if there's going to be some kind of an event that they're getting prepared for, and just kind of wondering what this really means. I know the things in North Carolina that are happening are very concerning. They're shutting down these camps that are helping the people, and a lot of people don't have nowhere to go. There's investors that are coming to buy up and snatch up properties for pennies on the dollar. Literally properties that are selling for $2,500 because people just are desperate. They don't have any money. They don't have a house. They don't ever know where to go. They may even be stuck because they don't have any. Maybe they don't have no place to go outside of where they were living. And these are mountainous communities, so a lot of times people in the mountains, they're mountain folk. They have everything they own right there in the mountains. But these FEMA, we're going to talk about that really in a little bit here. I think we're just for a second here. And then it says the airport was just notified that it was chosen as a facility for a staging hub for emergency services. They will be bringing 350 semi-trailers with equipment to park on the base. If you see a lot of trucks coming into the base, that's what it is. It's nothing to get scared about. They're staging for emergency situations in any of these 6 counties that FEMA serves, Palmer added. Very interesting. I wonder if they're stockpiling. Plastic coffins too. You remember that, the plastic coffins that can hold 3 bodies that were stacked by the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. I mean, it was tens of thousands, probably getting up there in the 100,000 ranges. That was found. I don't remember where that was at, but people found it and they were wondering, like, what is this? These are coffins. They are literally plastic coffins, and they can have 3 bodies per coffin. You remember that? Yeah, that was kind of weird. It was just kind of out there in the middle of nowhere on some big piece of property, stacked up really high. You remember that? Alex Jones and I think Jesse Ventura went out there and looked at it and did some video on it. But people were wondering about that as well. Anyway, so that's kind of something to keep your eye on. I guess they're just saying that it's there for in case of an emergency, yada, yada. But who knows if there's something in the works. Let's see what else we got here. Two major Israeli army bases wiped out by Hezbollah missiles. You got to be kidding me. Where's the Iron Dome and THAAD? What happened here? Were these hypersonics that got through? No. Did it really destroy 2 Israeli bases? Or is this just another way to say, hey, we're ready to go to war now? America's not, we need to cause the ultimate chaos before Trump gets in. It needs to happen now. Actually, this is probably going to be a facilitation of Trump's rise to power, because he does definitely, benefit from chaos here. So it does say that they executed a couple of successful operations. Yeah, that is an Israeli base. I do know of that base. That's in the north. And they say it's deep inside of Israel, but I've seen that base before. That base has been a target. It's right there on the north part of the... Okay, so what else we got here? Quickly. UK mainstream news reporting on Trump's New World Order, telling us in plain sight, the New World Order. Trump's New World Order. This is coming from mainstream media inside of the UK. You can find all these articles at Blazing Press on Telegram, by the way. Elon Musk becomes the most powerful unelected man ever. The brain chip Neuralace King has now been elevated to a dangerous and powerful role. Stay vigilant and prayerful. Many of us aren't being swept away by the deception that the deception. What is this? Many of us aren't being swept away by the deception. Know what? Oh, we know. Many of us will know what will be rolled out next, with the help of Musk. We are so close to the end. Okay, so that's the technologies. I mean, the crypto thing. You know, that's why crypto is blowing up right now, because they're really trying to get everybody on board. You know, it's kind of like the incentive. Hey, we're going to give you like brownies and hot dogs and, and hamburgers and, lottery cards, whatever it takes, $100, $1,000, whatever you want. Candy kids, get you to get in there and take advantage of this. It's free. It's free. It's money. It's just coming in. You'll be a part of the system. You'll help to build the digital prison. Just invest your time and make sure you're an evangelist for crypto, because I'm going to tell you what, that's exactly what they've done. They've built, the people got paid very well to build the digital prison that we're all going to be in. These digital currencies and the digital connection to the biometric and or nanotechnologies that are going to be within the body, which they say are the patent 606, or is it 060606, Microsoft's new patent, which is, it only came out in 2021. You can look it up on YouTube or on Google, and it has to do with the body and the connections to cryptos, which ultimately is going to have the Everything app as your one-stop shopping. You won't even need a cell phone anymore, because cell phones will be obsolete. Cell phones will actually be a part of you as the cyborg. With all the new technologies that are here, you can see them very rapidly increasing their output, and it's really exponential leaps, quantum leaps of technological advance, because these AI computers, or these quantum computers and AI technology, is advancing and creating this new world, this new golden age. And it's going to be an amazing golden age to be a part of, I'm sure. The golden boy is going to be closing the deal here real soon. Oh, by the way, Apollo is also known for his hair. His long, glowing, golden hair. So yeah, Apollo. By the way, I did hear something about Trump, that he loves music. Did you hear that? He is very much into music, they say. He just loves to listen to music. He's a music aficionado, they say. He listens to music all the time. So he's really into music. That's why his rallies are all so filled with so much music. I really like the YMCA song. That's really an awesome song, All those young men up there dancing around in their little uniforms. Da, 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 da. I just love when they do that. I can just see Trump doing that. I know he likes to dance. He's not really, doesn't look like he's a good dancer though, does it? Kind of. I bet you he was a better dancer when he was a younger guy. But still, it's all so cute. It's like Grandpa up there dancing. So cute. But hey, he's with it. He's really on top of things. He's very smart guy. Bitcoin, $87,000 per coin. It's gone up $20,000 in just a few weeks. Too bad you didn't invest. You might as well get in now. The water's warm. It's going to continue to grow, I'm sure. It'll grow on you. Once you get into it, it'll grow in you too. It'll grow on you and it'll grow in you. The cryptos are going in. Yemen media reports a new wave of joint U.S.-British airstrikes against Houthi and Ansarallah-ruled areas of Yemen. It says lemon. I think that was supposed to be Yemen, with 3 raids of Al-Faza area. So lots going on in Yemen. The United States is actually doing a lot of that too. Oh, did you see the robots, the robot dogs that are guarding Trump at Mar-a-Lago? Yeah, he's got robot dogs, and the robots are definitely here. They won't be There won't be any more gas station attendants. Definitely no. You're not going to have people at your grocery stores that much. I think they're going to all become obsolete. And there's already grocery stores that are employeeless, I think, from what I've understood in different parts of the world. But they're rolling out these technologies now where you use your thumbprint to pay, and in your iris you can also do that. But eventually it's going to transition into probably just your MAC address that's already embedded in your body. They're going to use your MAC address. But, there's no way, somebody could always cut somebody's thumb off if they really wanted to and use their fingerprint. Who knows, take the thumb around with them. I mean, that's pretty gory, but, that they're saying that that's the next best security against stolen credit cards, right? And identity thieves and things that, we all have to be worried about because it's a different world we're living in now. We got to make sure that we have security. So, so they're doing that now. But the next generation of robo-patrols will be able to transform and carry weapons for special ops and security. Can you imagine a robo-cop with a gun? A little dog cop with a big old, AR-15 mounted on its back? Maybe it's a semi-automatic. Maybe it's an auto. Who knows? And guarding places like Trump, Mar-a-Lago, or the White House. You got about 10 or 15 of these RoboCop dogs with AR-15s on their back. And by the way, they do have that now, and they're being used in Ukraine. U.S. Secret Service deploys robotic dogs at President-elect Donald Trump's property as security measures increase following his election. Just a side note, and this is true. My son did have this dream. I don't know, it was about a month ago. Okay, wife said it was 2 weeks ago. I thought it was a month ago, but one of our children saw in a dream that robot dogs were patrolling the streets to check other dogs, probably real humans, that had no collar or tags and were being taken away for not having one. RoboCop Pound. He doesn't know anything about these new technologies. He's very young. He doesn't know about what's going on here, but he had the dream. Robot dogs have 5G with Wi-Fi capabilities. What else is inside of people that these robots might be programmed to detect? Oh, that little app that tells you who has the MAC address and who doesn't. Have you seen those apps? You might want to check that out. They will be used along with the drones to sniff out dissidents. One of those people that don't like the technologies, eh? Trump did say to take it, and he would have a little conversation with you when he got back into office. We're going to have a little sit-down conversation. Remember, he said that about those who didn't actually like what he was promoting? Remember, they questioned him on it, and he's like, yeah, we're going to have a little sit-down when I get back into office. That means, he's not going to be it's going to be like discipline, like you're going to be disciplined. We have a little talk when I get back in about this topic. He didn't like the topic, especially pre-election, because, now I guess it's okay. All bets are off. You don't have to really hold to any real promise because it's all about just getting in, making the deals to get in. And then do you keep your deals? Loyalty for thee, but not for me. World Government Summit, Klaus Schwab asks ChatGPT to envision how the future will look under this so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution. It almost sounds like the Fourth Reich, if you ask me. It sounds like he's talking about the Fourth Reich. Envisioning a future propelled by the technologies of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, we see a new dawn of human civilization where artificial intelligence, robotics, and the Internet of Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering, and quantum computing become the foundations of our daily life. And don't forget, it's not just the Internet of Things, it's the Internet of Bodies, because they will connect your body as well. Your body will become a node. It will become a node of information, both sending and receiving, because you will be hooked up to to the Wi-Fi. You will be hooked up to Wi-Fi. With technologies deployed to combat climate change, protect biodiversity, and restore natural ecosystems. That means 15-minute cities, or as Trump likes to call them, freedom cities. They're freedom cities. You can only go 15 minutes, and that's your little allocation in the world. We don't want to harm nature. We want to make sure that we protect it. It's going to save the climate. These aren't just Trump's ideas. This is a global body that is initiating these things. But hey, Trump pulled us out of the Paris Accords, remember? Yeah, that's right. I forgot. He's not a globalist. He also pulled us out of the World Health Organization as well, didn't he? That's a global organization. Wasn't that everybody cheered when he did that. But what happened? He took all that money and invested it into Gavi. Gilead, what do they call it? Gilead, anyways, it's an Israeli company. It's like Gavi. Gavi is Gavi, and all these other companies that are all connected, by the way, to his chief of staff. She's very heavily connected. They put not only all the money they were given to World Health Organization, but they tripled down and gave even more money during that whole fiasco. And everybody thought, wow, he really isn't a globalist, is he? But little did they know, it went out the front door and into the back 3 times, tripled down on the investment, which was all a part of the whole global agenda anyway. He just fast-tracked it without your knowledge, that's all. You didn't know that, did you? Oh, this guy right here thinks that Trump is the Messiah, and as well as a lot of these Hasidics, these messianic rabbis, or these rabbis that are Hasidic, they believe that Trump is the Messiah of Israel. Okay, let's see. Let's get into some of this other stuff here real quick. Let's go ahead and look at a little bit more news here before I go. Let's listen to this. I want to hear this. You don't mind if we listen to this really quick, do you?
Thank you, Minister, to remind you.
I just like to listen to his voice because he sounds like he came right out of World War II. He sounds like he should have been on the, he's kind of the spokesperson for the fourth, as the 1,000-year industrial revolution. He calls it the fourth industrial revolution. But listen to what he says.
Thank you, Minister, to remind you how much progress we have made as a humankind. And when I was speaking here 7 years ago, after having written a book about the fourth industrial revolution, I showed how this revolution will change how we live, how we act, how we communicate, how we produce, and how we consume. Now, we are speaking not just about the fourth industrial revolution. We are speaking about the transition of humankind into a new era. And I did something maybe unusual. I took ChatGPT and I had a long discussion with ChatGPT, with my pod, if I may say so, to see how this new era will look like. And finally, I had about 20 pages of text, and I asked ChatGPT, summarize the text and tell me now, based on our discussion, how will the new era, the intelligent era, look like? And I read you the text. Envisioning a future propelled by the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution, we see a new dawn of human civilization where artificial intelligence, robotics, the Internet of the Things, 3D printing, genetic engineering.
And eating the bugs, the Internet of the Things, and it is the golden age. Yeah, the Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. I think that the eating of the bugs is very good too. I can't wait.
Quantum computing become the foundations of our daily life. Environmental stewardship is paramount, with technologies deployed to combat climate change, protect diversity, and restore natural ecosystems.
Oh, okay. That sounds really good. Can't wait. I can't wait. How many of you guys are excited about the future? Isn't this just awesome? What a golden age we're entering into. I just love it. The golden age. I voted for this golden age. Boy, I hope I have a lot of gold in this golden age. Well, I can't do without that gold. But here we go. Let's see what else. Trams were set on fire in second night of violence in Amsterdam. Cancer Jews chant in the streets. So they're attacking Jews in Amsterdam. This is a very big deal. I guess they're going after. It's kind of like World War II stuff. I guess a lot of Jews are saying right now when they went after them. Oh, what does that look like? Oh, that looks like the new icon for Twitter. Now, obviously, it's mirrored, but what does that look like in the mirror? Oh, yeah, a Masonic square and compass. Amazing. That's amazing. The master architect. Who is this master architect? Is it the guy who said, we don't have to do a surgery in your brain. We can just insert it into your blood, into your veins and arteries, and it'll coat your cerebral cortex, and you'll become a cyborg. Don't worry, the demon of AI will be neutralized if we can just merge with it. Society may survive if we can just merge with it. This is his solution. Otherwise, we'll be like pets, like cats and dogs to the AI. We won't be able to survive. And just like an anthill, when you're building a freeway, you don't really think about it. You just destroy it. So the AI might just destroy humanity on accident, and not really, no hard feelings. It's just we're accomplishing goals here. So we can't let that happen. We have to merge with it. This is where the technology comes in. You will be a cyborg. You will know all things in the world because you have wed your brains to quantum computing and AI. You're going to be really smart. You might even look like Data from Star Trek. I kind of wonder if Zuckerberg is actually already a cyborg, and possibly even Elon. They're getting ready to chip Alex Jones here in a minute. Alex Jones is getting ready to be chipped. Did you see Alex Jones? Seriously. Look at Alex Jones. I think they already got him. I do. I think they already got him. Look. I think they already got him. Oh no. Oh no. We gotta pray for Alex, man. I think he's been taken over. Look.
We win one way or another now. We've blown them worldwide. Globalism exploded. Let's make start World War III and kill the surface of the earth. We have won.
Oh, shoot. You didn't hear it. Darn it. I didn't have the sound on. I am so sorry. Let me try it again. Hopefully it'll do it again.
truth is, we win one way or another now. We've blown them worldwide. Populism exploded. Unless they start World War III and kill the surface of the earth, we have won. I've passed the Rubicon. I know it in my gut and my cells. So however it matters, it doesn't matter. They're done. They're over. They serve Satan. They've already been defeated. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see what else. He's been taken over. I think it's all he's he's done now. Let's see what else we got here. We already looked at that. We looked at that. I don't know. We didn't look at that. What is this? U.S. CENTCOM launches strikes on 9 Iranian-linked militia targets in Syria. Really? The attacks are in response to an uptick on U.S. troops in the country over preceding 24 hours. I didn't know that. Just found that out just now with you. All you good people here. Netanyahu says that he and Trump see eye to eye on Iran after holding 3 calls within days. I'm sure that Trump is telling him the truth. I wonder if there's a betrayal in the future. I wonder if Benjamin Netanyahu is going to get his payback. So I know that Trump was pretty upset at Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu and U.S. President-elect Donald Trump see eye to eye on the Iranian threat, the premier said in a video statement on Sunday, amid indications of an imminent Iranian response to Israel's recent retaliatory strike. No peace, only war coming. But I thought peace was coming. I thought peace. And by the way, I heard that Trump is also going to stay the line on Ukraine. He's not going to abandon Ukraine. I wonder how that's going to work. Israeli defense minister says there will be no ceasefire in Lebanon because Trump said we can go and take the land. He also said we can take the Golan Heights and maybe even Gaza too. No peace. Don't believe the ones crying out for peace, peace. I wonder what Jared Kushner thinks about all that. I wonder if he's going to be on the new admin. I don't know. I don't think he is. I think he was a hot potato last time. Iran says that the world waiting for Trump to stop Gaza. Iran says the world is waiting for Trump to stop Gaza and Lebanon wars. I don't think he's going to do it. Well, maybe he will. I don't know. Maybe he'll have a change of heart. Maybe he'll have more information once he comes in and he'll have to make different decisions. And sorry, Netanyahu, but I didn't have all the intel that I do now. So I got to change my position. You understand, don't you? Remember how you were the first world leader to admit that Biden had won the election? Remember how angry I was at you? Well, this is your payback. Oh, let's see what else. This is pretty troubling. They're saying stuff in North Carolina is this is really, you got to just come and check some of this out. I'm not going to go into this. Man is still on the ground in western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. He's talking to victims and they're having their land purchased out from under them for $2,500. He says it's definitely a land grab for the lithium and quartz mining. So there's all kinds of lithium and quartz in then their hills where all those homes are. Unfortunate for the homes that are on that property because they have to, yield. I don't know if they could just do eminent domain and have them all moved, or did they need to do this? Maybe this was the last resort. The video is some of the most insane firsthand information I've heard about what's going on in North Carolina. You might want to check this out. And I did hear about all these FEMA camps that have been erected that are kind of hidden in the mountains. And many of these people are being moved because they don't have nowhere to go. And it looks like they're being put into these camps. And they're large camps. But you need to go out and listen to this yourself over here on our Blazing Press channel. This woman in Asheville, North Carolina, just got a letter notifying her that her mortgage loan has been sold to a Vanguard-owned company. Some people in the comments of this post say they got the same letter who live in the area. Absolutely insane. So why Vanguard? Well, it's the one that gobbles up all. It's the one that's a part of that whole network of corporations, BlackRock included, that are being guided by Aladdin, the AI robot or AI bot that basically makes all decisions for all these companies. And it's everything. I mean, you could think anything you can name. Amazon's in it, Google, eBay, all of these companies are in there, Walmart. They're all under the control of this Aladdin dictate. When it tells them what to do, they all do it. They act as one, right? They're gobbling up assets, and from what I understand, $25 trillion of assets are under the control of this AI bot named Aladdin. I have the video on there. I'll post the video on our Telegram page about Aladdin. It'll blow your mind. But Vanguard, and that's why there was that big housing crisis, remember? All these houses, there was no inventory because you know why? They were being bought up by all these companies that are controlled and being funded by these big corporations. And so they raised the price unlimited amounts because they knew they could just purchase and control the markets and everybody else wouldn't be able to afford it. And that's why all the prices kept going higher and higher. And now they're just probably going to crash it out to try to choke everybody out when hyperinflation hits and everything else happens. It's kind of like a teeter-totter, Once somebody gets off, it just flops back down. There's no balance, like you just jump on it, pop everybody up into the air. Everybody goes flying into the air, and then they jump off, and then they come down, just like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner, So this is very concerning because all of these migrants that have been let into the country that were given all this money to stay, they don't even know, half of them don't even know English. Most of them, probably more than half, don't even know English, but they're being given all this free money and hotels and everything. Now they're taking it all away. What are they going to do? What are these migrants going to do? Are they going to be able to get jobs? They're dependent on this money and this food and this housing, and they're going to take all that away? Don't you think that's going to cause some unrest? Maybe that's a part of the plan. It's not just happening in this one area. It's happening in other areas and other parts of the country as well as New York. New York is saying they're going to close 10 sites outside of New York. The same thing is happening in North Carolina with the camps that are helping these people. They're shutting them down. And these people have nowhere else to go. It's like, yep, that's time. Time's up. Get out, get up, get out. We don't care. You don't have a place to go? Oh, well. And they're taking people's kids, from what I understand, too, because they don't have no safe place to go. That's not good. Go listen to those videos. All right, so let's get into the info. Let's get into the info here, what we wanted to talk about here. All right, as I said, we're gonna listen to this video, and I'm gonna kind of share my thoughts as we do. I want you to pay close attention. Hopefully, you have a little background of biblical history and a little understanding of Scripture and prophecy, and understand a little bit about the occult. Otherwise, you might get lost. But hopefully I can try to piece together some of the things that some might not get by commentating a little bit on top of it. But let's go ahead and play this. And this has to do with the prophecies of 2025. Even going all the way back before the time of Christ in the Qumran community of the Essenes. And if you're familiar with the Qumran community, they were out in the desert. They believed that's where John the Baptist came from, was the Qumran community. And it was a community of prophets. And wise men, sages, almost like a monastery type thing. And they were very tapped in to who Jesus was. Unlike the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the Qumran community was more aware of who Jesus was. And thus is why John the Baptist came from the desert, because it's in the desert, Qumran. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this. This is Tom Horn. I don't know if you're familiar with Tom Horn, but he had passed away a few years ago. I think it was 2021. I think he passed away. But he had some very, very good insights into the occult origins of our country, the influences upon presidents, and the Masonic order and how it influenced not only the founding of our country, but also as it continues on to this very day. And even some of these high-level rituals that are done for the presidents here in America, every president. But he's also talking about the purpose of America and why it was founded and what the real reason for America really is. And how when you see "In God We Trust" on the money, that doesn't, he died last year. I'm sorry. He died last year, 2023. When you see on the money "In God We Trust," it's not talking about the God of heaven. It's not talking about the Christian God. It's talking about that eye of Horus that you see up at the top of the pyramid. And just like Elon had stated, he put on his Twitter page the Latin phrase, which means the new, what does it state? I'm trying to remember now. Chlorum, something. It means order of the ages, or a new order of the ages, I think it means, or something. That's what America's destiny was ultimately planned for, to bring in this dawning of a new age. And a president would arise that would do this out of chaos, order out of chaos. And he would be the golden boy. But here we go. Pay close attention.
Before and after the presidency of Donald Trump, the United States was, and now it is again, on what I would call an intentional trajectory to fulfill what famous Freemason Manly P. Hall described as the secret destiny of America, which includes a future national and global subservience to the God of Freemasonry, a deity that most Americans would not imagine when reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to one nation under God. In fact, the idea by some that the United States was established as a monotheistic Christian nation by those who designed Washington, D.C., and that the God referred to on American currency as a Judeo-Christian one, it's really a puzzling conclusion when reflected against the deistic beliefs of so many of the founding fathers, as you can see perpetually viewed in the so-called supreme architect deism of Freemasons, and in the supreme judge of the world and the divine providence notations that are in the Declaration of Independence and other founding documents, as well as the countless pagan icons that actually dominate the symbols, the statues, the buildings, the seals that were carefully drafted under official government auspices. The Great Seal of the United States primary among them, which Manly P. Hall, the famous Freemason, rightly called the signature of that exalted body of Masons who designed America for what he called a peculiar and particular purpose. It all bears rich symbolism, forecasting anything but Christianity. As a matter of fact, when Christians in the 1800s argued that a hypothetical annihilation of the United States would lead to antiquaries of succeeding centuries, and by that they meant historians, concluding that America had been a heathen nation based on the symbolism of the Great Seal, Congress was pushed to create something reflecting the Christian faith of so many of of its citizens. U.S. President and Freemason Theodore Roosevelt, he strongly opposed this idea, but other Masons weren't as frustrated with the plan because, given the ambivalence of the term God, and the axiom that, interpreted within the context of the Great Seal's symbolism, this certainly would not infer the biblical Christian God. Therefore, the slogan "In God We Trust," whoever you believe that God is, was accommodated by Masons and other Illuminatus who therefore approved as the official U.S. motto the phrase "In God We Trust." In my book, Zenith 2016, which among other things noted that the year of Donald Trump's presidential election had been foreseen by prophets and sages for thousands of years as the apex date, when governments would begin shifting toward the spirit that is predicted on the Great Seal of the United States, the Antichrist, followed by the actual man of sin's arrival and acceptance on the global stage in the year 2025, which people will discover in the new book Zeitgeist 2025. But this was to illustrate the point in my book Zenith 2016 that one definitely would not determine that the God in America's official motto refers to the Father of Jesus or a biblical Trinity. I wrote in that book, quote, "Imagine yourself as a space traveler who visits Earth in a fictional post-apocalyptic world. Digging through the rubble of the once thriving planet, you come across a copy of a US $1 bill with the two-sided Great Seal of the United States joined in the middle by the phrase, 'In God We Trust.' Upon consideration, you ask yourself, what God did this refer to? And with no preconceptions, you allow the symbolism on the seal to speak for itself, from which you quickly determine that this had been a great culture who worshipped Egyptian and Greek deities, especially a particular solar one whose all-seeing eye glares from atop an unfinished Egyptian pyramid. Upon further investigation into the specific beliefs of the strange group whose members had influenced the Great Seal, you discover from their highest masters, including one illustrious Albert Pike, that the sun god they venerated so highly had been known to them at various times in history by the names Apollo, Osiris, and Nimrod, end quote. Now, I made that argument in Zenith 2016 because, unknown to most Americans, and certainly to the average Christian, the Great Seal's mottos and symbolism relate to both Osiris and Apollo specifically, and yet as one. Osiris is the dominant theme of the Egyptian symbols, his resurrection and return, while the mottos of the seal point directly to Apollo, and the eagle, a pagan emblem of Jupiter, to Apollo's father. For instance, the motto Annuet Coeptus, this is from Virgil's Aeneid, in which Ascanius, the son of Annius from conquered Troy, prays to Apollo's father, Jupiter or Zeus. Charles Thompson, the designer of the Great Seal's final version, condensed line 625 of Book 9 of Virgil's Aeneid, which reads, Jupiter omnipotus, audacibus annuet coeptus, which means all-powerful Jupiter favors the daring undertaking. He condensed that down to annuet coeptus. He approves our undertaking. While the phrase Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages, was adapted in 1782 from inspiration that Thompson found in a prophetic line in Virgil's Eclogue 4, which reads Magnus ab integro seclorum nascitur ordo, from Virgil's Eclogue 4, line 5, the interpretation of the original Latin being, and the majestic roll of circling centuries begins anew.
Now, this is what Elon Musk had just posted, this Novus Seclorum, how did they say that? I can't read it there. I think it's Novus Ordo Seclorum. He had posted this on a Twitter post just the other day. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. And everybody was like, what? He's talking about the new global world order that's coming under Trump that he's a part of. This is all right there on the Great Seal, and everybody knows it right in our faces. He literally just posted this statement on his Twitter page. Anyways, let's move on.
Now that phrase is from the Cumae Sibyl, a pagan prophetess of Apollo, identified in the Bible as a demonic deceiver, and it involves the future birth of a divine son spawned from a new breed of men sent down from heaven when he receives.
Does that statue look familiar to you at all? Does anybody know where that statue is? Let me see if I can find that. Have you ever seen this? It kind of looks similar to this. Now, you know what? I think this is the Greek god. Actually, this one here is... Now, Trump does have a lot of these different gods. He does have the Greek god. I think this is Eros. But he also has Apollo. He has a statue of Apollo, and as well as a fresco on the top of his thing. It shows Apollo riding 4 horses with the spear and the lyre, right? The lyre, the musical instrument, and the bow. And so people have recognized that there's a lot of Greek and Roman goddesses and themes all throughout his house, or his penthouse, as you will. But let's go back. This, I believe, is something different here. This is not the same. This is actually the one that I think has the snake, because it looks like the snake is wrapped around its leg and arm. So let's go back to this.
The life of gods and sees heroes with gods commingling. According to this prophecy, this is Apollo, the son of Jupiter, or Zeus, who returns to Earth through mystical life given to him from the gods when the deity Saturn, or Jupiter, returns to reign over the cosmos in a new pagan golden age.
A new pagan golden age to rule over the cosmos. Saturn, and also Saturnalia, is the logo of the Jewish Star of David. That is Saturn. Did you know that? Okay, so the Golden Age starts with a messianic personality that brings, I believe, the Jewish nation to its prophetic fulfillments, at least the way they interpret their end time prophecies. The Christians' interpretation should be different. There are a lot of Zionist Christians, though, that interpret it just like the Jews. But if you really understand your Bible, you'll understand that Jesus is not coming to set up a kingdom on this earth. It's not on this earth. That's going to be a false kingdom. And so the sign of Saturnalia with the Star of David, that's the sign of Saturn. He's talking about the rise of this Saturn star, or the Saturn. And by the way, the blaze star is supposed to illuminate here real soon. It's actually late. And I would guess that this thing is about to go nova here real soon, and it will probably happen on a very important date. It's a little bit late, but they say it's depressing, which is an indication that it's about to go nova. And some would say, well, novas destroy stars. Well, not this type of nova. This is a different type of a nova. It's a binary star, a dwarf that is siphoning off hydrogen and nitrogen off of another star, and as it begins to build up, it takes about 80 years or so. It bursts into flames. It doesn't destroy the actual star, but it it is consumed by a massive fireball, would be like a nuclear, completely consumed in a nuclear blast is really what it is happening on that star. But it burns off and then it starts the whole process over again. So it's not literally the star exploding. So people were saying, well, that's not a nova, because a nova, they call it a different something. They call it novae or something like that. Anyways, that's the blaze star, and it's in the Crown. It just so happens to be in the constellation of the Crown, right by the snake or the serpent constellation, which we chronicled on Yom Kippur when the Atlas comet came through, the Revelation 12 sign of the woman, which represents Israel, and the moon at her feet, the sun at her back. And here comes the same trajectory of this comet as it happened 1 year prior with the green comet screaming through with the same constellation of Virgo. And the sun was at her back and the moon was at her feet, which was Revelation 12. And we told you guys on September 28th, 1 week before October 7th, that sign with the green comet portended war and chaos in Israel. 1 week before October 7th. You can go back to our channel here or go on Rumble, go to September 28th broadcast, and about 43 minutes I talk about it. Now, we went into great detail in our small group meetings, which is a personal kind of contact that I have with people that are a part of the inner workings of what we're doing here. And if you want to be a part of that, go over to Patreon and support what we're doing, and you'll get in on those meetings. So this is how we support the channel and keep it going so that we can continue to bring these broadcasts to you. So please understand that it's very important and vital that we keep that support coming in. But anyways, so that happened with that comet right before the week before the war. It happened on Rosh Hashanah, on the day of the blowing of the trumpets, the festival of Rosh Hashanah for the Jews. There's a 9-day period or a 10-day period right after Rosh Hashanah, and there's like a bookend, Yom Kippur, the Day of Judgment, or the Day of Atonement, right? The Day of Atonement, the Day of Judgment, the books are closed. That comet happened this year on the Day of Atonement, or on the Day of Judgment, when it went through Virgo. And it was the Purple Mountain Comet. They called it the Purple Mountain Comet because it was discovered in China in an observatory by the tidal Purple Mountain in Chinese. And it was also called Comet Atlas, right? And so Atlas, and by the way, the planet that was in the constellation, just like Mars was in the constellation prior to the war in Israel, Mercury was in the constellation this year, which is also commerce. It has to do with commerce. Atlas is an endurance, and the name Atlas means endurance, or having to do with, which I believe it's the endurance of the saints, that the wearing down of the saints. There's going to be a time of great tribulation that's going to focus on the saints during this time, and it's going to be a focus on America. So I believe that this sign is going to precede something very big happening here in the West, Europe, America especially, because we're the ones that basically regulate the global economy. Trump talking about Bitcoin, this whole thing with Bitcoin is very big. It's going to be a transition, I believe, to the digital ID and the digital monetary reset, which ultimately ushers in all these other things that have to do with the jab, the nanotechnologies that were in it. So for those who don't understand what the jab was all about, it had to do more with the technologies they wanted in you. Not so much about the fear of having something kill you, which many people couldn't handle what was in it, and they ended up perishing. But anyways, so this was Jupiter and Saturn, because it was a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn right here. They called it the Christmas star, which really wasn't the Christmas star. But here, let's go back and listen to what he's saying here.
Pagan Golden Age, what the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn on December 21, 2020 forecast, which many, by the way, including pastors, were erroneously referring to as the Christmas star. According to the Greek texts, the Magi followed an asteroid, not a stationary star alignment, whose trajectory led them to Bethlehem. But it was the closest that these two planets have appeared together in approximately 800 years not long ago, and it did indeed forecast the arrival of a messianic son, the false one, whose spirit will reside in the beast of Revelation 17:8. From the beginning of the prophecy, referenced on the Great Seal of the United States, here's what we read. Now the last age by Kume Sybil sung has come and gone, and the majestic roll of circling centuries begins anew. Justice returns old Saturn's reign, with a new breed of men sent down from heaven. Only do thou at the boy's birth, in whom the iron shall cease, the golden race arise. Befriend him, chaste Lucina, 'tis thine own Apollo reigns. He shall receive the life of gods and see heroes with gods commingling, and himself be seen of them, and with his father's worth reign over the world. Assume thy greatness, for the time draws nigh, dear child of gods, great progeny of Jove or Jupiter Zeus. See how it totters, the world's orbed might, earth and wide ocean, and the vault profound, all see enraptured of the coming time. End quote. According to Virgil and the Cumae Sibyl, whose prophecy formed the Novus Ordo Seclorum on the Great Seal of the United States, the New World Order begins during a time of chaos, when the earth and the oceans are tottering, a time like today. This is when the Son of Promise will suddenly arrive on earth, Apollo incarnate, a pagan savior, born of a new breed of men sent down from heaven when heroes and gods are blended together. This sounds eerily similar to what the Watchers did during the creation of Genesis 6 giants, doesn't it? And why many believe that
And so I'll just go back and rehearse that there. But Genesis 6, the giants, they come down and they have relations with the children of men, and there were giants that were born, men of renown, remember? And Jesus said, as in the days of Noah, so would it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. He's referencing, I believe, the time of the giants, because that was why the flood happened. Men's hearts were evil continually, and there was violence, right? This was a violent mindset that actually took over the DNA of humanity, and it altered it. And so the iron and the clay intermingling in that last terrible kingdom that Daniel sees is the beast kingdom, where iron and clay don't mix. What is that? Technologies in human bodies and the splicing of DNA to create human hybrids, or what? AI is able to do it, they say. It's able to do these calculations and to edit these calculations for solving these problems that are in humans, whether it's cancers or genetic dysfunctions. They can splice it, they can dice it, they can make you into something new. They can take away the aging gene and you'll live forever. Just listen to Jared Kushner. there's a video of him saying, I need to take care of my body now. I'm really exercising a lot now. You know how he's got that little squeaky voice? And he's like, and I just want to try to live long enough because I believe my generation is going to see the technology to stop death, where we can live forever. And he literally believes that. He literally believes that. He wasn't joking when he said it. It wasn't a joke. So let's get back to what Mr. Horn is saying here.
Eerily similar to what the Watchers did during the creation of Genesis 6 giants, doesn't it? And why many believe that Antichrist also represents the return of the Nephilim. But to understand why such a fanciful prophecy about Apollo, son of Jupiter, returning to Earth should be important to you, in ancient literature, Jupiter was the Roman replacement of Yahweh. As the greatest of the gods, he was a counter-Yahweh. His son Apollo is a replacement of Jesus, a counter-Jesus. And this Apollo comes to rule the final New World Order when justice returns old Saturn's reign. Now this ancient goddess Justice, who returns Saturn's reign, Saturnia Regna, the pagan golden age, was known to the Egyptians as Mat and to the Greeks as Demas, while to the Romans she was Lustitia. Now statues and reliefs of her adorn thousands of government buildings and courts around the world, but especially in Washington, D.C., where she stands as familiar Lady Justice, blindfolded and holding scales and a sword. She represents, according to the prophecy, the enforcement of secular law, and is, according to this Sibyl's conjure, the authority that's going to require global compliance to the zenith of Satan's dominion, concurrent with the coming of Apollo. What's more, the Bible's accuracy.
See, they're going to come with justice. They're going to come to right the wrongs of the corruption of humanity and the being led astray that has corrupted government officials the world over. It's a golden age of retribution and justice.
Concerning this subject is a minion, concurrent with the coming of Apollo. What's more, the Bible's accuracy concerning this subject is alarming, including the idea that pagan justice will require surrender to a satanic system in a final world order under the rule of Jupiter's son.
Now, another thing that Tom Horn did before he passed away was he went to Washington, D.C. to talk to the Scottish Rite Masonic Lodge that's been in Washington, D.C. And by the way, that pentagram that you see there, that is the layout of D.C. and the streets. It was laid out in that way as an occult, magical city with all the different government buildings and very important buildings that are at the different locations on the pinnacle. And we all know what the pinnacle is, right? Or the pentagram, I should say the pentagram. The pinnacle actually has a circle around it, I think. But if you just look at all the architecture, you'll see right there, it's Greek and Roman architecture with a lot of symbolic messaging that has everything to do with paganism and nothing to do with Christianity. So if you go into the Capitol and you see all the angels and the saints at the top, those aren't saints. Those are the gods of the founding fathers. They made them into gods, by the way. And those are not probably good angels. So, and there's also a very deep dive on that too. We can probably, I think he talks about that, I think, here. Let's go and continue.
In the New Testament, the identity of the god Apollo, coded in the Great Seal of the United States as the Masonic Messiah who's going to return to rule the earth, is the same spirit, verified by the same name that will inhabit the political leader of the end times New World Order. For instance, according to key Bible prophecies, the Antichrist will be the progeny or the incarnation of the ancient spirit of Apollo. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition." And this is the Greek word apoleia, Apollo. Revelation 17:8 likewise ties the coming of Antichrist with Apollo, revealing that the beast shall ascend from the bottomless pit and enter into him. It says, "The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition," apoleia, Apollo. "And they that dwell on earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is." End quote. Among other things.
Now, I don't think he actually talks about this in this video, but he had gone, and I didn't mention it, he had gone to Washington, D.C., to this Masonic temple, and he talked to the Masons there. They gave him a private tour of this historic Masonic temple in Washington, D.C. And he asked them a bunch of questions. And one of the questions he asked, which they did not answer, and one or two of them actually walked out. They did not want to answer that question. The question was, because what they do is they do these rituals for every president. They invoke Apollo to possess the president. Yes, you heard that right. He asked the question, do you continue to invoke Apollo upon current presidents? They wouldn't answer the question. Two of them walked out. The other one looked dumbfounded and just looked at him like, because they're not supposed to reveal secrets, you know, especially these high-level Masons in D.C. Hold on one second. Oh, he mentions it in that documentary. He does? In the one that I'm listening to right now? Or are you talking about this one? Oh. Okay, this is the other one? Okay. We'll look at this one in a minute. Oops. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue.
End quote. Among other things, this means that the Great Seal of the United States is a prophecy, hidden in plain sight by the Founding Fathers for more than 200 years, foretelling the return of a terrifying demonic god that seizes control of Earth in the new order of the ages. This supernatural entity was known and feared in ancient times by different names: Apollo, Osiris, and even farther back as Nimrod, whom Masons consider to be the father of their institution. In the last chapter of the book Zeitgeist 2025, we circle back to that prophecy to expose the most insidious aspect of the scheme that is now counting down to the year 2025. The information that I just shared with you is only the tip of the iceberg of what I reveal in my new book, Zeitgeist 2025. In fact, much of what I uncover in this book is too hot for mainstream platforms like YouTube and Facebook and would immediately be censored. But now, for the first time ever, you are going to discover hidden secrets and forgotten prophecies surrounding the year 2025, how the current U.S. government is tied to America's occult destiny, lost prophecies from Qumran forecasting 2025 as the final age of man, why historians and intelligence agencies foresee a totalitarian world government by 2025, how America's capital city is laid out to actuate the arrival of the Antichrist, about the malevolent Orwellian trinity currently converging, the means by which the population's thinking and speaking are being homogenized to create a nation of assimilated devotees who are going to embrace the Antichrist, the deep esoteric meanings that names and titles held in ancient societies the impact they had upon destiny, and what that precedent could mean now for America's near future. Who the mysterious character Melchizedek of Genesis 14 truly was, what the people of the name covenant is, and much more. So go to sidroth.org/horn or click the link below to get your digital copy of my revelatory new book, Zeitgeist 2025, so you can count.
Okay, so that was just basically his last bit of. I should have just cut it off there, but let's check this out right here. This is the belly of the beast. This is also very interesting.
Of uniting the world under one king. It's an ancient idea. The first to attempt this was Nimrod at Babel. They had a one-world religious system, government, language, and of course a king. This system was a foreshadowing of the coming Antichrist system and was even fueled by the entities of their esoteric religion. These are believed to be the very religious practices that comprise what we call today the Babylonian mystery schools, which are the religious beliefs and practices behind the various secret societies that drive the deep state. So it's really no surprise to see the same demonic entities that had fueled Nimrod's kingdom and motivated his actions alive and active today, fueling the deep state. The third level of the deep state is the unseen realm, or the spirit realm.
The third layer is what I call the unseen realm. This is the spiritual dimension. And of course, there are demonic players. There are spiritual activities that take place at the center of the universe, which I really believe happens to be in Washington, where the power is really focused. Where money and great power is exercised, inevitably there's going to be a spiritual war. Ephesians 6 being the example where powers and principalities are very much in play. And so the third layer, the unseen realm, is constantly influencing the second layer, the influencers, and the first layer, the political class and the bureaucracy.
In the deep state that I see right now, take one more step down, one more step down. In that next step down, you have the real operating deep state. There is no end to history without the supranatural side. There is no real alteration of the political world and a new world order and that kind of, there is no new world order unless it's supernaturally based. 2,600 years ago, God said that there's a fourth kingdom. That's the deepest deep state you can get to. God already gave insight to that system being built and coming. It's very defined in Revelation 13 also. It's political, it's military, it's economic, and very clearly it's technological. If we're that close, Revelation 13, the biblical Greek word is anabano, they will rise as if, I don't know, we're the 10 kings. And so we've been given great insight to an agenda. It's like God ripped open Hell's Kitchen, saw the blueprints, and said, hey, here's some of the sequence of satanic evolution.
So it's the unseen realm where the real plots are devised. The spirit realm is a supernatural place that exists outside of our four dimensions. This is the place where entities live, devils and demons. We're dealing with principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places. This is the realm that the deep state conspirators are tapping into. Their ideology is steeped in occultism, and their power is attained through performing rituals. Rituals are the heart and soul of the cabals of the world. Rituals are the keys that open the doors to the spirit realm.
Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will.
The role of ritual is essential because what ritual does is ritual connects the individual to the ancient concepts of continuity, that man, nature, and God are ultimately all one. Ritual is that experience, that mystical experience of continuity. You are stepping outside of time. You are stepping outside of a linear mindset. And you are now entering into an era of where everything is cyclical, everything is interdependent, everything is intertwined. And you are now acting in that spirit realm, that sense of continuity, where nature, God, and man are declared to be one. And you are enacting that. You are engaged in a type of spiritual theater, is a form of spiritual contract. And you are now a participant, a direct participant in that system and cycle of continuity, where all are connected to the all.
Where do the rituals come from? Just like we have biblical revelation, what God has done through all the Old Testament, New Testament, we have God initiating all of that. How to contact Him, how to call on Him, how to worship Him. So in all real rituals, they're inspired by the other side. There is no ritual that just a human came up with. It's inspired by the spirits to give designation, to give it's like giving a phone number. This is how you call us. This circle, this language, these symbols, this sigil, this is what you do to summon us. And if you do what we do and we give you the keys or the phone number to our side, if you do everything correct and if you do everything right, we'll show up. So it begins with them. There's no ritual in any book that I've ever seen or read that wasn't inspired from the other side first.
This is why people like Joe Rogan talk about DMT trips, because it opens up the third eye. If you ever see Joe Rogan Experience, he's got the third eye. You know, Joe Rogan was credited as being a very large influence and a big reason for Trump's win. But he's really big into the DMT stuff and about the third eye and about really connecting to what's really going on the other side. And he's also very influential in shaping perceptions and thoughts about what's happening in our world, even politically. So it's no wonder that, you know, Trump looked at that as being a very important part of his platform to win the election. And they said, a lot of commentaries out there now on the news are saying that was probably what really pushed Trump over in a big way, was the podcasts, especially Rogan.
They are giving their contact number. And when that occurs and somebody gets that and they begin to do that, obviously, even a Ouija board is a spirit-given way of contact, a doorway. Biblical Greek, it's a topos, a doorway that gives a legal right. They will come through. They want that door.
The most powerful ancient rituals have been passed down and immaculately kept by the heads of secret orders from the ancient world. It is by these rituals that the gods of old are summoned and cross over, empowering their henchmen to carry out their plans on the world's playing field. The high-level Freemasons, in particular, have been involved in some of the most maniacal religious rites, gripping the very core of Washington, D.C., as they conjure the spirit of the final age. The House of the Temple, also known as the Herodome in Washington, D.C., is the holy of holies of the Masonic craft, and is also considered somewhat of a Masonic mecca to the Scottish Rite Masons around the world.
At the Herodome across town, when they are conducting the raising of Osiris ceremony, in the middle of that chapel room is an altar, and on that altar are all of the holy books of the great religions of the world. But above that is a binding utility. It's one of the most famous in all of antiquity. It's called the Magic Square of Apollo, or it's called the Magic 666 Square, because the panels in the stylized sunlight above the altar are exactly the same layout as a magic square, so it's a stylized Magic 666 Square. In antiquity, that was used to raise the spirit of Apollo from the underworld, which is central, of course, to the magic based on the great obelisk behind me, the dome behind me, and the Freemasonic and Rosicrucian ideas of the return of Apollo Osiris at the end of time to lead the New World Order. Now, to effectualize that, at the Herodome, they conduct the raising of Osiris ceremony, where the Bibles and the other books are bound beneath the Magic 666 Square. This square was famous in antiquity because When adding the numbers in any direct line, horizontally, vertically, the numbers always equaled 111. But when you added all of the numbers that are in the magic 666 square, they equaled 666. So interestingly, when the Freemasons built this giant obelisk to George Washington, they maintained those influential numbers in that the obelisk is 666 inches long along each of the lines at the base, but it is 555 feet high. And if you think of that as a magic square, the number 111 remains and extends down beneath the surface of the earth to reach the totality of the number 666. So all of the numbers important to a magic Apollonian square used for raising the spirit of Apollo are incorporated into the design of the Washington Monument. Now, what most Americans also don't know is right over here, beneath the ground, is a miniature obelisk made to look just like this one, except it's only 12 feet tall, 12 being the number of the perfect government that will be incorporated when the Novus Ordo Seclorum prophecy comes to its fruition and the man of sin becomes Apollo in flesh.
One of the reoccurring elements of occult rituals, both ancient and modern, is numerology. The basic principles hold that numbers have a great deal of magical and spiritual magnitude. Some numbers are more potent and carry more power than others, and strategic combinations of certain numbers can render specific magical effects. Additionally, numbers also tie into planetary significance within rituals.
In the magical Hebrew Kabbalah, each planet is associated with a number, intelligence, or spirit. The intelligence of the sun is Nakel, which equals 111, while the spirit of the sun is Soroth and equals 666. It makes sense, therefore, that Freemasons built the Washington Monument obelisk to form a magic square at its base, the exact values of the binding square of the sun god Apollo Osiris installed in the ceiling above where the Osiris ceremony is conducted, in the house of the temple. 111 is also the number of the Trinity, both dark and light. Now, when you compare the raising ceremony that's held at the Herodome beneath a magic 666 square to the Washington obelisk, there's some interesting facts. In fact, the same Bible that Dan Brown called the lost symbol is a Bible that was placed in a magic binding square inside the testes of the Washington obelisk of Osiris, the Washington Monument, the purpose of which is to restrain the Bible's influence, just as it is in the Herodome, while allowing the seed of Osiris to materialize.
In order for the powerful deceivers to bring about their demonic will through magic, they attempt to attack their eternal enemy, the God of the Bible. Not only are these men seeking to raise the spirit of Osiris and bring about the kingdom of the Antichrist, but they feel the need to bind the power of the living God in order to level the playing field of the last days. But unfortunately for them, there is no binding the word of God or even remotely constraining the power of the Most High. This is a great example of them trying to manifest their will into reality via ancient magic rituals of numerology. One 20th century specimen who enacted similar rituals, dedicating his every breath to magic and numerology, is none other than Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley is a Luciferian Moses, if you will, with the law of the darkest ancient magic and a proven occult track record of success. Aleister Crowley's magic and influence has been seen distinctly throughout secret societies and in the lives of celebrities, politicians, and presidents, as well as spawning various cultural movements. His themes and writings have been vastly present in popular music, television shows, and films. It's practically impossible to separate the Crowleyan ties from the spiritual shifts that we've seen in the course of the 20th and 21st centuries. His dark shadow continues to lurk over humanity as the occult prophecies persist through the end of this age.
Aleister Crowley was born in England in 1875. He was born as the only son of a very wealthy brewing family. He went to the finest prep schools and was able to enter King's College, Cambridge, where he studied at one of the most auspicious universities in the UK. While he was there at that university, he became interested in three things: poetry, mountaineering, and the occult, and studied everything he could. And he heard about an invisible college, something that the Rosicrucians used for their secret society. And he wanted to investigate and find out what this invisible college was. And it led him to join the Order of the Golden Dawn, which was a post-Masonic secret society. That means that it was beyond Masonry. So people who entered into it had already gone through all of the grades of Masonry. And he absorbed all the information from the Golden Dawn and went on to start his own religion called Thelema, which he based upon the receipt of the Book of the Law in Egypt in 1904, where he said he received this information from a being called Aiwass. During his life, Crowley wrote about the variety of different spirits that he contacted. Aiwass was one of them. Another one he termed the magician or the wizard. He also did the Alamantra working in New York in 1918, where he came in contact with a being that he drew that looks very similar to what is known today as the gray alien. Crowley thought of himself not just as an occult scholar, but really as a prophet. And he talked to himself as the prophet of the new aeon, this cosmological age that would change current understandings of the world. So he called himself this prophet of the new aeon, and he was the head, and he became the head of the German secret society, the Ordo Templi Orientis, in 1925. But why I think Crowley is really referenced as one of the most important figures in modern history is that he left a vast repository of writings. You could distill all of his teachings into one simple 11-word, 11-syllable axiom, which
what's that 11-syllable? Do what thou wilt, do what thou wilt, this is the whole of the law. 11 words. But hey, I also told you guys about Aleister Crowley not too long ago in one of my explanations of this moonchild that was in some correspondence, which you can find in some attached links on our Telegram page, to an occult website that shows the actual letter of, and I'm thinking it was one of the proteges of Aleister Crowley that was communicating through letter about Ron L. Hubbard, who was the founder of Scientology, and Jack Parsons, who was a rocket scientist that helped NASA get to the moon. And in fact, you've got Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which was a part of Jack Parsons' founding. I believe he founded that whole thing. And he was a very high level occultist as well. And they were communicating with Aleister Crowley, at least Jack Parsons was. Ron L. Hubbard, I don't think was, but the other guy was referring to Jack Parsons and Ron L. Hubbard, said that Ron L. Hubbard was a deceiver and that he was a trickster and a scammer, that he had somehow captured the attention of Jack Parsons. But he also made mention of a moonchild that they had brought forth. And this is something Aleister Crowley had written books about, or written a book about. And I believe it was a conjuring, what they believed would be a certain entity that would be inhabiting a human body, and they called it the moonchild. This just so happened to take place in the year of the Blaze Star, 1946, and the date of the letter that you can find on the website is dated June 14th, 1946. And they talked about having birthed this moonchild on that day of the full moon, or actually it was a solar or a lunar eclipse. So it was a full lunar eclipse that happened on June 14th, 1946. Just so happens to be Donald Trump's birthday. Amazing, isn't it? What a coincidence. But anyway, I digress.
Which is, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. And that was an important clarion call for later decades in the world, particularly the 1960s, where people like Timothy Leary took that call and promoted licentiousness and drug use through American society and really world society, as many people would pick it up. And that was really his intent. He really wanted to bring on this new age of Horus, which he called the birth of the child, a birth of a new value system, a non-Christian value system. And if you look back on on the 20th century history, you can see that that has been in effect upon human civilization.
Crowley, obviously, in his adamant rejection of Christ, it reminds me a little bit like Judas. You know, if your heart is walled up against God and walled against, you become very open for the other side, because that's what the other side is all about. Opposition. You know, Satan, the fallen cherub, is in opposition to God. So when there's a heart that's bent that way, and that heart is angry and so forth, you already got doors being opened. And then when they pursue, demonic presence, dark side presence will only guide people to pursue darker measures so that broader doors can be opened. They do love to possess people, but maybe more than that, they like to use people. 1 Timothy 4:1, where people become vessels, conduits, and the demons then can use them to write those doctrines of demons. Then that influence, look at Crowley's writings. His writings influence far more millions than when he was alive. So he has charged writings, rituals in those writings, the Amalantra working, and the crossing over of the entity Lamb. This is huge. We're talking about major rituals, and it couldn't have been done without blood. Even his own son died in one of those rituals. They're predatory, they're observers, they're watching, they're looking. And they're always going to come masqueraded. They have the power. The biblical Greek word is meta schizmazotai. It's that verse we read where Satan's able to masquerade as an angel of light. We read the verse quick, but it's real. They have the power, the supra-human power, to alter their presentation without changing their nature. And it's all done and designed for the sake of deception. So in his case, this high-level entity, engages him, and that's part of the initiation for him, from their side initiating him. Of course, he's acquiring presence, power, gaining what he would consider as knowledge from that side, and of course, then he's inspired to write. And from there, he pursued deeper and darker. Sex rituals and sex magic was big on the agenda, as is all the darkest of stuff, and then human and blood sacrifice.
Now, the Moonchild actually did have to do with sex rituals. This was a big part of Aleister Crowley's magic, was a part of sex magic. And the Moonchild would be birthed by this person or this woman that would be the spirit of Babylon, would be inhabiting, I guess. I think that's the way it went. The spirit of the, I think it had to do with the one that rides the beast, or something like to that effect. But it was a ritual. It was a ritual to bring forth the Moonchild. And this is why I think Crowley had some, I guess it was when they were talking about Ron L. Hubbard, and they were criticizing him in that letter as well. In fact, I think I might have the letter if you want to see it. Let's see if I can find you that letter and the website that it's on. It's really interesting. I couldn't find. There's websites that chronicle all of Aleister Crowley's letters, but the main site does not have that letter. But for some reason, that letter is only found on one site, and it's a highly occultic site. But for some reason, it's not in the archives of all the letters of Aleister Crowley. And let's see if I can find it here really quick. And see, I'll pull it up here. Let's see, is this it? I'm trying to remember where I had that. Honey, if you remember where that was at. Let's see. Just real quick. See if I can find this really quickly. Going back in my history here real quick. Okay, here it is. I did find it. I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. So this site right here, if you look at this site, it's called the Blazing Star. Isn't that amazing? The Blazing Star. And the Blazing Star hyphen OTO.org. And I'm not sure what OTO means, but yeah, these are letters of Aleister Crowley. And this particular letter, and I do believe there's an original copy here too. Yeah, here's the original. He was writing to Grady L. McMurtry. This site, I believe, is dedicated. It's called the Blazing Star Oasis Ordo Templi Orientis. And it's called the Grady McMurtry Project. Now, this is the one that's communicating this particular person here that the site is, I guess, chronicling and honoring. And you'll see the 666 inside of the sun, of the Saturn sun here, or the Blazing Star, which is also very interesting because there's a blaze star about to go nova. And this is talking about the moon child. Just look at what is said here. In this letter. So this is how they addressed and by the way, Aleister Crowley signed his name as 666. He was known as the Beast or 666. And so he said, thrice illuminated, thrice illustrious, and very dear brother. That's how they would address each other. But he does talk about Ron L. Hubbard here. Let me just see where he says that. And he actually talks about Saturnus here. In the freighter Saturnus. But let me see. Okay, so here he says, okay, so you may say that contradicts the injunction in the oath, I will interpret ever for moment and dealing with God in my soul, but there's great, okay, there are points of view. Is this the right one I'm looking at? I think this is the one where it says the moon child. Okay, here it is. So if you look right here, okay, it says, I was delighted to have your letter of the 12th of May. I have not been able to answer it till now. My eyes are really so bad that I've had to get someone to read out your letter to me, and I'm afraid, her time being very limited, I have had to postpone the reading of your poem until my new glasses come, at the best. It is no good talking about Freighter 210 coming over. He has gotten under the influence of a person whom I believe to be an ordinary con man. He's referencing Ron L. Hubbard. And Frater 210 is Jack Parsons. It says, at any rate, he is acting quite insanely, and as far as I can see, both deceitfully and dishonorably. I am still waiting to hear whether the adverb dishonesty should not be added to the list. In any case, he would not come because, oh, curse these people who have no ideas of their own and can do nothing but pick up my ideas and try to put them into operation. He's talking about the Moonchild. They're taking his book that he wrote about bringing forth the moon child, and they're actually doing it themselves, Jack Parsons and Ron L. Hubbard. Now look at the date, 14/6/46. That is June 14th, 1946. Would happen to be, whose birthday? And it goes on to say, without the least understanding of them or knowing how to bring them to success. So he's saying they don't even know what they're doing, and they're trying to bring this concept to success because, and by the way, Jack Parsons has letters to Aleister Crowley where he's praising Ron L. Hubbard, trying to get Aleister Crowley to understand that Ron L. Hubbard is on the same wavelength as they are. Okay? So it goes on to say, apparently he or Ron or somebody is producing a moon child. They're taking his idea. Oh, Lord. The beast is mad. They're stealing the moon child from out from underneath him. They took his ideas and they decided to go ahead and go and do it without him on a lunar eclipse, which happened to be on June 14th, 1946 as well. So there was a total lunar eclipse on, just so happened to be Trump's birthday. 2 months before this, the Blaze star erupts, which is going to happen again now, here anytime on the second coming of Trump, which is going to reveal his true agenda. And this is very interesting because this site is called the Blazing Star. Don't you think that's interesting? The Blazing Star. Look at that. The Blazing Star. 1946, the moon child on a complete lunar eclipse. Just so happens to be on June 14th, 1946. And they produce a moon child. Aleister Crowley's book, The Moon Child. So here is the book of Aleister Crowley. If you want to see it. Originally published in 1929. Author Aleister Crowley, The Moon Child. 48 pages. And it's all about sex magic and about bringing forth, I believe, what they're calling the Antichrist. So, yeah, let's take a look at, it's a novel. It's a novel. I'll have to say this, but it's many times novels are written with, true information. Its plot involves a magical war between a group of white magicians. Now, remember, I tell you about white magic and black magic, remember? White magic is accepted as a good thing. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? In Wizard of Oz, remember? I thought all witches were ugly. No, not all witches are ugly. It says there was a war between white magicians and a group of black magicians over an unborn child. It was first published by Mandrake Press in 1929, and its recent edition is published by White. Okay, so this is about when it's published. And this is, by the way, what the cover looked like right there. It says, in this work, numerous acquaintances of Crowley appear as thinly disguised fictional characters, so it's really based on truth. Crowley portrays MacGregor Mathers as the primary villain, and including him as a character named SRMD. using the abbreviation of Mather's magical name. Author Edward Waite appears as a villain named Anwait, and the unseen head of the inner circle of which SRMD was a member. AB is Theosophist Annie Besant, and she was a Theosophist, Freemason, women's rights, and home rule activist, educationalist, and campaigner for Indian nationalism. Okay. And so I guess she was included in the book in some way with a character. Among Crowley's friends and allies, Alan Bennett appears as Mahatra Fang, and it goes on. Let's just kind of pass this up. It says the plot. A year or so before the beginning of the World War I, a young woman named Lisa La Griffin is seduced by a white magician and persuaded into helping him in a magical battle with a black magician in his black lodge. Gray is attempting to save and improve the human race and condition by impregnating the girl with the soul of an ethereal being, the Moonchild. To achieve this, she will have to be kept in a secluded environment, and many preparatory magical rituals will be carried out. The black magician's Douglas is bent on destroying Gray's plan. However, Gray's ultimate motives may not be what they appear. The Moonchild rituals are carried out in southern Italy, but the occult organizations are based in Paris and England. At the end of the book, the war breaks out, and the white magicians support the Allies, while the black magicians support the Central Powers. Very interesting. I guess this was pre-World War II. See, it says a project called Babylon Working was undertaken by Jack Parsons and Ron L. Hubbard in 1946, inspired by Moonchild. Babylon Working was supposed to manifest an incarnation of Babylon who would then carry a magical child or a Moonchild. See, they even have it in the Wikipedia here. If you didn't see that there. Well, let's see. I guess we can still continue to listen in if you want. I know it's getting late. Did I leave? I'm gonna look and see how many people are here. If we're gaining people, we'll continue. If not, we'll close it out. Okay, it looks like we're closing it out. All right, so guys, I hope that you found this to be interesting. We go into deeper diving on these topics in the Patreon group, so if you want to become a supporter, you can also be a free member and be a part of all the alerts. But if you are a supporter of the channel, we do have Zoom calls where we interact on these topics, and I like to call it a prophetic think tank, but it's definitely a roundtable discussion of the deeper inner workings of what's going on in the world of the spirit and also in the kingdom, because we do talk a lot about Scripture, and we do talk about the faith that overcomes the world, that overcomes the darkness, that overcomes Satan in his kingdom and all of his minions. Amen. We are more than conquerors. We are the overcomers, it says. We overcame the devil, it says in Revelation, by the word of our testimony, the blood of the Lamb, and we love not our lives even unto the death. Are you that committed to Jesus that you have laid down your life for your friends, for your God? Or are you trying to save your life? Jesus said, if you save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose your life for my name's sake, you will find it. And that will be eternal. Do you have eternal life? Or are you gaining the whole world and losing your soul? Ask yourself that question. Seriously answer it before Almighty God, because he's listening to your response. What does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and yet loses his soul? The answer is you gain nothing. You profit nothing. I don't care if you have a great business. I don't care if you're married to your business. I don't care if you think it's benefiting humanity. If you've lost God in the midst of it, you've done nothing. Jesus said, you can do nothing without me. Without me, you can do nothing. So no matter what you do, if it's without Jesus, it turns out to a big zero. Zero. It ends in nothing. Futility and emptiness under the sun. All things are vanity and vexation under the sun. This is the end of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. Solomon said it best. He was the richest man to ever live, probably. And he tried everything. And he did everything. He can say, I did that. You can ask him this, and he said, nope, I already did that. I already have that. I already bought that. 1,000 women, concubines. I always wondered, like, how in the world would a guy have 1,000 wives or concubines? How does that work? But he did it. And he said, it's all vanity and vexation under the sun. And he was very depressed. But he came back to God and he said, this is the end of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. So that's my statement tonight. Make sure you're keeping the commands of God. And if you're not, tell Jesus, I believe, yet help my unbelief. Recognize your lack of ability, that you need him to even do his will. No one even comes to the Father or to the Son except the Father draws him. No one can even understand who Jesus is unless the Father opens the eyes. So you can't even have faith unless God begins it. He's the author and the finisher of your faith. He's the beginning and the end of you as a person. So give him his due and recognize that nothing happens without God's command. And if he doesn't call you, you probably aren't going to be listening anyway. And God knows the future. He knows where you're going to be. He knows what you're going to choose. But you still have to choose. You still have to enter in with that signature of your will on the dotted line. You have to commit your way to God. You have to say, here I am, Lord. Send me. God still includes your will to be giving up to do his will. John chapter 7:17. John chapter 7, verse 17. If any man wills to do my will, he will know of the doctrine, whether it is of me or from my Father who sent me, or whether it is of myself or if it is from God, right? If it truly is a message born of God, right? Jesus couldn't do anything except what he saw his Father do. So you as well can do nothing except God do it in you, right? Eternal treasures. You're not here trying to make your little kingdom that's going to perish and end in fire, and all you're going to have left is ashes. You want eternal treasure. You want something that's going to last for eternity. You better make sure that God is the author of it. He's the author and the finisher of your faith, right? He is the beginning and the end of your faith. So let God create that heart within you that only he can inhabit. Because really, our heart, it says, is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? The heart is deceitful and wicked above all things. Who can know it? You need to be born from above. You need to be transformed into a new creation. The old creation has to pass away. Behold, all things need to become new. You need to be born from above. The life that you now have has to be put on that cross with Christ if you're a non-Christian, or if you're a believer that you do believe but you haven't walked the walk. You got to pick up your cross daily, and you got to learn to commit your way to the Lord on a daily basis. It's called discipleship. And as you follow the Lord wherever he leads, there is a newness of life that begins to rise up within you, and it begins to take over your way of thinking. It begins to show you the thoughts that God has rather than your own. You're actually going to have the influence of God's thoughts. As it says, my ways are not your ways, neither are my thoughts your thoughts, says the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, it says we can have the mind of Christ. We can actually know the thoughts of God. For we have received the Spirit which is from God, that we might know the things true that freely given to us by God. Right? So do you want to have and be filled with the Spirit of God so that you can be led with the light of God's truth upon your path? He's going to be the light that lights every man. It's not your light. It's the light that comes from above, right? It's the light of Jesus. He's the light that lights every man. And it says, now I no longer live, yet Christ that liveth within me, yet nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ that liveth within me. And the life I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me. So because he died on that cross, and you were on that cross in the curse of the fall, that nature was taken, and the transformation begins when you receive him, and you forsake all to follow him. You pick up your cross, and you follow him as well. You're not going to be accepted even by the religious communities of our day, even in the context of Christianity. A lot of Christians don't even get this idea. They don't really accept the true definitions of Scripture and what it means to be a true follower of Christ. I would say less than 20% of those who claim to be Christians are actually following Christ. Actually, less than 20%, I would say. In my calculations, the majority of Christendom is woefully ignorant and has counterfeit religion. And if not, they're babes that never grew. They're stunted in their growth, and they have not even a clue where they stand with God because they're so distracted and caught up with the world around them. So I believe that God is beginning to stir up in these times a real movement of truth that's going to be a reality of faith in what they call the remnant. And I believe it is a remnant, but it is a large group of people on the planet that are following him. But you might say it's a remnant when you think about how big and how many people are on planet Earth right now. There's, almost 8 billion people? So the remnant of those who actually follow Christ, if you were to say 10% of that even, 10% of 8 billion people, that's a large remnant, The Lord has reserved 3,000 that have not bowed the knee to Baal. Don't think that you're just all alone. I know you're out there. I know you're listening. But the majority of people are listening to these big podcasts and these preachers that are all caught up with image and, showmanship and, theater. And it's all about the Benjamins in the end. It's really about the money and manipulation of people's hearts or souls. And that's what the demons love. They love to manipulate people's consciousness because they want to steal from you. They want to. The Bible says the devil comes but for to steal, kill, and destroy. He's ultimately trying to steal your soul. He'll give you things in order to steal your soul. He'll give you an angel of light to make you feel good and make you feel like you're doing something special and that maybe you found God, but you might be needing to really search it out and seek it out according to scriptural sound doctrine that these experiences you're having are truly from God and not from a seducing spirit, a doctrine that's of a demon, and an angel of light that's masquerading and really is a dark angel or a dark demonic force. But they do, as Russ Dizdar said, they have the ability to transform into angels of light. So their true nature is hidden. And you'll see a lot of them on YouTube. Lots of prophets on YouTube. Always giving oracles, always giving prophecies. Many of them aren't even happening. I'll just give you one example. Celeste, she said that Kamala Harris was going to win the election. She gets millions and millions and millions of views. And she prophesies. She's very angry. But people think that's, that she's somehow prophetic. And yet she's putting out messages that aren't even true. False prophet. There's a lot of prophets that were on YouTube that were saying Trump was going to come back in 2021, that he was still president. This was all a big operation. It was all going to turn around. And then they revised it and said 2022. It's almost here. And then they revised it again. And then they got so disillusioned because it never happened. And here we are. He's coming back. And I told you in 2020 he would come back, but I didn't tell you he'd come back early. I told you he'd probably come back in 2024 to oversee what's left of America. And that's what's happening. But it is going to be a big shift, and it's going to be a big wake-up call, and there's going to be a big, transition, a reset, and chaos, and censorship, and who knows what else, to bring us to a new dawning of a golden age. There's going to be a lot of controls that are coming. A lot of intrusion into people's private lives with all the technology head up by governments around the world. And you can see them rolling it out now. It's happening all around the world. We're looking at videos of all the technologies they're rolling out. And they're actually implementing them in a lot of countries. They're not as much here in the United States. They are doing it, though. They are doing it, but it's not like in some countries where it's just, they've already got the stations where they're basically all biometric and, crypto type digital IDs and gaining your credits. And, your banks they're not banks like they used to be. They're transitioning into the digital ID and the digital currencies. And the guy goes in and he tries to buy something, puts his fingerprint on, and it denies him. He can't buy anything. He goes into a supermarket, you want to buy, everything's behind a glass. You put your fingerprint on it and it opens it up and you are able to take what you need. But what happens when it doesn't open? Well, your social credit score is bad and, you've already spent too much money on things that your UBIs are being held right now because you're not supposed to be out tonight. You're supposed to be at home or whatever. Your social credit score went down. This is what's happening in China. You got social credit scores that have nothing to do with your business or if you're doing things correctly in terms of every other thing, but you might have ideas that might be being monitored that are against government. So your score goes down. Or you went to a protest you shouldn't have went to. Oh, your score went down into now you're almost in the red. When it gets into the red, you can't go anywhere. In fact, you might be picked up and taken to jail. And who knows, are they harvesting organs over there in those jails in China? That's what they're saying, out of people that are in the jails. But no, if you're in the yellow, you get limited. You can't travel. You can't go on airplane. If you're in the green, that means you're a good citizen. You can do what you want, go out and go buy a steak, go out to dinner, go travel. You're a good citizen. We're rewarding you. We know that we know what you're thinking. We know what you're doing. We know that you're one with us. because the technology tells through AI and all the facial recognition and, where you're at, what you're doing. It monitors every little detail through the Internet of Eyes. You got all the camera systems everywhere now. They call it the Internet of Eyes. The Internet of Things, the Internet of Bodies. Everything's going to be tracked, traced. Oh, you're mad? Why are you mad? Oh, you're talking about the politician you're not supposed to be mad. Why are you mad? Where they're monitoring your heartbeat, they're monitoring your bodily functions. They can tell if you're sweating or if you might be, fearful about something. Oh, we know there's something wrong there. What is it that you're afraid of? Well, in the context of this conversation that's being monitored, and the AI is detecting increased heartbeat and sweating and a sense of fear. So we know that you're thinking. We know what you're thinking. And by the way, these technologies exist. They're there. And they will be implemented. And it's going to cause you, as it says, great and small, bond and free, rich and poor, to take a tracking system, it's called a mark, so that you can buy and sell. And if you don't take it, you're going to be put to death. That's what the Bible says. And the only way it's being tracked, it says it's by a sentient image that begins to speak. This image begins to speak, and it causes all to worship the first beast. This technology causes all, it's able to track, it's able to chronicle, it's able to know every human being on the planet, what they're doing, and if they're complying, and if they're not complying, then they will be, dealt with. The Bible says there, some are you going to go to prison, some of you will be put to the sword. And this is what Jesus said to expect in these times. So, you're a Christian. You're following Jesus. Is this something you're really going to be committed to? You have to know him in order to endure to the end. Because if you don't, you won't. You won't endure. You'll take it. You'll go along with it. You're going to save you want to save your family. You want to save yourself. You don't want to die early, do you? They overcame him by the word of their testimony, by the blood of the Lamb, and they loved not their lives, even unto the death. Amen. All right, guys. God bless. I pray the Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord make his face shine upon you, the Lord be gracious to you and give you peace. And that the Lord would rise as the day star dawns in your heart, as a light that shines in a dark place, that this word of prophecy would begin to shine very bright, and that you would know that Jesus truly lives in you. The hope of glory, Jesus Christ in you, the hope of eternal glory. May that glory be seen and a foretaste of the powers of the world to come be experienced by each one listening to me now, in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. All right, guys. God bless, and I'll talk to you soon. Hit all the buttons in the links and share this everywhere you can, and we'll look to see you guys again tomorrow, the Lord willing. Early in the morning, I'll try to get here a little earlier than I am getting to do the devotionals, and those devotionals are awesome. I love them. Thank God for morning prayer, morning worship, morning, spending time studying with all you guys and fellowshipping. So be there if you want to be a part, and then we'll see you back a little bit later. God bless.